Hello everyone, welcome back to CryptoCache. Thank you so much for joining me here. I hope you're having an amazing day. We're going to take a look here at Sandbox, see kind of what's going on, of course, and just kind of get best practice, big picture, all that good stuff. And I hope you can learn something here today. That is my passion, is to help you become a better trader. So if you learned something, fantastic, comment below, let me know. If you want to become a better trader, CryptoCache.tech. I have a site, link in the description below if you'd like to consider becoming a community member. We have over 300 members presently, and I teach you how to become a better trader with my trading academy, trading community, and more important, signal group, where you actually learn how to structure your trades effectively based on the signals that I send. And these are all trades that I'm taking, and you can follow them if you'd like. It's definitely optional, of course, not a requirement, but something that comes as a perk, you could say. And that is available down below. So taking a look here at Sandbox. Big picture, we've been covering this one throughout the months, and obviously it had a meteoric rise to fame, came down and kind of fizzled out, for lack of better terms, but again, still fundamentally a good coin. Okay, so I think this metaverse is absolutely worth investing in. Big picture, I think it will continue to stick around. Unlike some other gaming coins, perhaps, but this being a metaverse, it's more diverse, and I think it has more long-term longevity. That being said, outside the fundamentals, the technicals can tell us here a lot. If we look at these support levels, you can kind of see that there's a pretty definitive line in the sand here, no pun intended, that right around 267 is the lowest point in which the price wants to go, ever since the price is retraced in November, okay? So essentially, we've only seen a slight candle wick just below 260, or sorry, was that 270? We could say round number 270, as essentially just kind of the bottom. Okay, so I feel like the bottom is probably in. Once again, it could come down potentially lower, but with its recovery here today, looking pretty good in that sense. We can see a rejection though off the Fibonacci retracement line about 305. That's synonymous with the 50-day SMA. We see those two worked hand in hand. We also see the 50 on the RSI, which is right here, of course, working the same. So if we can get a clean break over 305, just say even 320, 310, 320 range, we'll be looking in much, much better shape. What I mean by that is just that we'd have a little bit more confidence knowing we're on the right side of the tracks. Being above the 50 is a big, strong start. We do have a MACD potential convergence here, but there's no guarantees that's going to continue. But it does feel like it wants to try. Okay. Again, this last 24 hours is exuding the same behavior as Bitcoin. So, I would just say, even though it's nice to see Sandbox back on track in a sense, we can't expect this to be permanent because Bitcoin hasn't passed 41.6, 42,000 as a key level resistance, and we haven't seen that happen just yet. So keep that in mind. Sandbox is essentially on the right track, but we need a little more consistency over the next 24 to 48 hours to be in the clear. And let's take a look at the consistency I'm talking about here. First of all, with the TD sequential, just to touch on it, we're at a 7, so we have potentially another 8 hours worth of continuation. We see that number a lot on most coins right now, at least ones that are following Bitcoin more so to a T. That being said, we should expect the price to maintain itself, and or if it were to retrace, we don't want anything lower than just say 287, because we want to be able to keep it higher than the previous high, or more specifically, even just say 285 as a better safe estimate there to stay above the most recent high. Oftentimes the previous high, the most recent high, will work as a support level, so we can essentially expect that to potentially come down and bounce off that level. Worst case scenario, we don't get that. We could see 280 as a potential secondary there for a bounce off that Fibonacci retracement line. All right, so again, a couple of different scenarios here, but taking a look at the RSI, let's see, we're not overextended, which is nice. We're above 50, under 70, that's fantastic. Recent MACD convergence, so the 4-hour doesn't look terrible at all. It actually looks very good. It's creating a higher high type of pattern, and it gives us potential for a higher low. The likelihood of a higher low is pretty high at this point. We just don't want it to be any lower than 281. Okay, so again, mostly good stuff here in that sense. Sandbox is looking fairly decent on the midterm here, the 4-hour time frame. Just bear in mind, once we get past this resistance level here at about 305, there is the 200-day SMA working right there around 316. So could see some resistance there, but still a little ways off, nothing to worry about. Take a look at TD sequential here. We can see this slight retracement, of course. This happens. The market opened here today, pushed the price action up, and of course, price is coming back down now. It's standard because of the simple fact that we got overextended here, came over and overextended once more. So that standard deviation is going to require that the price contracts. In fact, if we look at the 15-minute, we can see it kind of touched outside of those ranges. And what's nice about this here, though, and this is the great thing about the View app, the volume weighted average price is telling us the volume for this current And based on, basically the price establishes a volume, volume establishes a price. Is $2.90. That's roughly where the price should be based on the volume, which implies that we have more volume recently than we have seen previously, and that's allowing this to expand and have those standard deviation lines larger. Basically just meaning the simple fact of the matter here is that we should expect this to hold as a support level. If it loses, that's probably because Bitcoin is losing it as well. But more importantly here, we have more volume now than we have seen in the past, and that's extremely important. If we can continue to maintain this volume, we'll be just fine. So I think volume is probably the most important thing to identify here at this point, because we're needing it in order to maintain this price point. Because when you look at the selling pressure here, until you get this kind of volume, you don't see this kind of increase. Anytime you've seen these spikes in the past, they've dissolved quickly. So if we can get a continuation of volume here in the next couple of days, we're going to be just fine to be able to continue to push higher. If that volume continues to recede, then we're going to see the price point closer to 260, 270 again, right in that range. And we might see a further continuation of the downside. So I'd say pay attention to the volume. Volume is probably the most important thing here. But generally speaking, we do have an increased amount of volume today and yesterday, compared to, of course, obviously the weekend was very slow and abysmal in general. The entire market was almost at a standstill, just kind of waiting for Bitcoin to pull its head out of its ass at 39,000. It did that, and now we're starting to see some increase. So once again, good stuff here, but by no stretch of the imagination is Sandbox moving on its own. It's having a good day. It's 2 or 3x of Bitcoin, sure, but we got to understand, unless Bitcoin can succeed and break through some key level resistances such as 41.6 and 42,000, then we're going to see Sandbox probably continue to struggle. Inevitably, we could see Sandbox break free from it. Once again, good coin in that general sense, but there's probably going to be a fundamental catalyst that'll cause that to happen. For now, we're in good shape here all in all with Sandbox. I wouldn't be super concerned. I do feel honestly that the bottom is right at the 255 to 270 range. We shouldn't expect a price point much lower than that. One last thing we want to take a look at would be the volume profile, and we can see tremendous amount of volume right at the $2.70 to $3 range. So we're entering that volume profile, and that is a positive thing. We're kind of still within that, and that should create that foundation of volume to build on, essentially, right? So again, mostly good stuff there in that sense too. So all in all, I feel like it's favorable for Sandbox to continue to progress higher. It just really depends on what Bitcoin wants to do. So watch my other Bitcoin videos if you're curious about what that is doing. I cover that every single day, and you can check that out and hopefully learn from that too. I want to thank you so much for joining me here. Hope you learned something here today. If you did, comment below. If you want to become a better trader, CryptoCache.tech is a site. Link in the description below, and ultimately, I just look forward to working with you. We got over 300 members. It's an amazing experience. So thanks again for those of you who are currently part of that. And it's an amazing journey. So thanks again for just being a great part of my life. Hope you have a great rest of your day. I'll see you in the next one. Take care. Thanks again.